Hoo boy, it's been a while since I've touched this gem. So, at the request of my Patreon and good friend Charles Langley Jr., I'm going to review Icarus Uprising. And I'm going to start off with my conclusion here. I actually really like this game. Icarus Uprising was one of the first games that ever came out for the infant 3DS, and it was kind of pushed forward after Pit's inclusion in Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Pit made his debut on Kid Icarus for the NES, and he also had a Game Boy Color game, but after that he kind of faded into obscurity until he was brought back into the limelight in Brawl. The end result was Icarus Uprising, a rail shooter slash third-person shoot-'em-up game with tons of action, lovable characters, a kick-ass soundtrack, and tons of irresistible charm.
Yo-ho! Can you hear me? I'd like to be part of this conversation, please.
Shut it already!
Hey! But you've been talking this whole game!
But before we get into that, what's the premise? Our main character, Pit, is an angel under the command of the goddess of light, Palutena, and is sent to stop the evil witch of the underworld, Medusa, from wreaking havoc on the planet Earth after 25 years of obscure imprisonment. Believe me, they waste no time making that clear. But not everything is so clear-cut, as more divine beings start getting in on the action, including Pandora, Thanatos, the goddess of nature Viridi, and even Hades, the lord of the underworld. By the way, best character. From there, the entire adventure takes so many turns, topped off with misadventures and mayhem. I dare say it's one of the more thrilling and exciting narratives that Nintendo has ever conceived, even if it doesn't make sense all of the time. If nothing else, it's incredibly inventive and entertaining. And all of this is augmented with top-notch voice acting, a wonderful soundtrack that includes Motoi Sakuraba's work, and visuals that were really impressive for the Nintendo 3DS. And while we're on the subject, I have to mention these characters. From the philanthropic angel Pit to the chaotic neutral dark Pit, from Viridi to Palutena to Hades, and even minor characters like Dintos and Poseidon, you will find something to love in these characters by the time you finish the game. Hades' best character. Alright then, I think I've gushed enough about the narrative and aesthetics of this game. What do I think of the game itself? Overall, this game is a lot of fun, and not just in terms of narrative, but also in terms of gameplay. The game alternates between two different playstyles, the first being a rail shooter where Pit's flying through the air literally shooting everything that moves, and the second is a grounded over-the-shoulder shooter where Pit's walking around exploring the area, finding treasure, solving puzzles, and, again, shooting everything that moves.
Shoot anything that moves.
Now, truth be told, that's just an oversimplified description because there is a lot to this game. The game allows you to obtain and craft different weapons and spells so you can spice up the gameplay a bit, and it throws a lot of attributes at you to keep things fresh, from different enemy designs and environments to heart-pounding boss fights. The stakes get higher and higher as you progress through the game, there's tons of collectibles to obtain, there's a multiplayer mode for when you want to play with friends, and a difficulty setting and achievement system that will ensure that you'll be playing this game for a good long while. Overall, Icarus Uprising is a great experience and a ton of fun. But I'm pretty sure there are veteran Green Scorpion viewers out there that are waiting for me to mention something rather crucial about this game. Back in the early days of the Green Scorpion, I mentioned that Icarus Uprising was one of the top 10 most poorly controlled games of all time. And if I'm going to be honest with you guys, I look back at that countdown with great mortification because I am seriously not proud of that video as of today. Be that as it may, and while I don't think that Icarus Uprising deserves a spot on that countdown anymore because there are certainly far worse in the world, I still stand by the notion that Icarus Uprising's controls are absolutely stupid. The first way you can control the game is by using the stylus on the touchscreen as a sort of aiming system, and using the circle pad to control Pit manually. While this works relatively well on the rail shooting sections, on the ground sections it just feels really awkward and imprecise. This also prevents you from holding the 3DS properly because you also have to use the L button to shoot, which kinda defeats the 3DS's purpose of being portable. The other method which I used is to use the face buttons in order to control the reticle manually and aim that way. And while that does allow you to hold the 3DS properly, it presents a new problem in which that you can't react to things going on the screen as fast as you would be able to with the stylus. Nintendo literally sold a plastic peripheral for people to rest their 3DS on if they're using the stylus method of controlling, and that in tandem lets you know that there is an issue with your controls. It's a war of attrition trying to get used to this awkward control scheme while playing such a chaotic and action-packed game, and while you will get used to it eventually, it's still an issue. But if you've never played the game before, don't let that deter you, because that's really the only issue I have with this game. Kid Icarus Uprising is still a wonderful adventure, an entertaining experience, and overall, a fantastic game. Believe me, this game is worth